welcome to the Wunmi Bello Show. Every episode, I'll be bringing you unfiltered stories from old and new friends who've given me access into their most vulnerable and life-changing moments. Each conversation will take you on a therapeutic journey with laughter and refreshing relatability. How are you, Zeze?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to my home.
Thank you for having me on the couch. Thank you very much. I feel special.
You came in and you were just like, this is home. You came to sit down.
I know.
You said, can I have herbal tea? I said,
I know. Have a nice, chills. It's going to feel like a chat. That's what it's going to feel like.
I think that's the great thing about this, our dynamic. I feel like where we both kind of occupy similar spaces in terms of, our interviews, I'm like, I know you get it.
Right.
And even the way we were talking on the lead up when I first messaged you, were like, yes, let's do it. I think it's going to be great.
I think that actually, like us sitting down and talking is actually quite important, because I think what happens is two women, and then I say this to someone this morning actually, I think what happens is you have two black women that do similar things, but really it's not similar. The only thing that is similar is that we talk to people.
Yeah,
but our whole delivery is different. But what happens is, because we're black women, it's like, oh my God, it's Wunmi, Zeze. Do you get what I mean? And it's like, so when you messaged me and you say, I know it seems a bit weird, but it's not weird, because why wouldn't we sit down and have a conversation? Do you get what I mean? Because if I don't think that if one of us wasn't black, that people would compare us to each other. Do you get what I mean? Because
do you read those comments? Like, I think there was the notes conversation that we both did.
Oh, we did the same.
And I remember reading that, and I was just like,
yeah.
if you watch the interviews, we just both have very different deliveries and way of navigating conversation. So like you said, there really isn't any room or need for, that kind of
like
comparison.
But it's weird. But it's weird as well though, because I think people just like comparing. It's just a thing that people do.
It's what we do.
It's just a thing that I think everyone does it. I'd be lying if I said I haven't done it. But I think, it's just how it goes.
So let's get into this, because let's get into this, right? I can't lie, I'm really excited. I think
let's go.
We know Zeze, the interviewer. We know Zeze, the one who is ready to state her opinion online, and I kind of am like, that Zeze's cool. I want to park her. I want to know Zeze, the human, because I think even just off the back of watching you online, but then I think we've seen each other 5 times. There's been several occasions where we've had conversations here and there, and I always just feel like the energy I get from you is just different from like the Zeze that I experience online.
Right, okay.
Okay, firstly, how do you feel when I say that? Because you looked at me like...
No, because I was trying to see, I was thinking, what energy is she going to say? That
I can answer that. Do you want me to?
Go on then.
I think the energy that you give online is... I just think it's like a little bit harsher than like when I meet you.
Right,
when we talk, and I don't think it's even just like necessarily about me. I just think even when I watch you talk to other people, there's like a difference in the tone and like just your overall delivery. I feel like you're a lot softer.
Well, but this is the thing. I feel like the interviews that go viral and that do the rounds are always of me being harsh. But there are actually interviews where I'm sitting down and I'm talking and I'm having a conversation, and it's just, and I think that's what sometimes gets annoys me, because there's so many different dynamics within even an interview. So even if I'm going harsh on someone, like if people would say, I don't know, like a low ski, when I did low ski, there was still like moments of me being soft with him and me laughing with him and me joking with him, because as a people, we're not just one dimensional. Like sometimes I might be angry, sometimes I might be sad, sometimes I might be happy. And it's kind of what I was saying to you earlier, like when people meet me in public, like, what am I supposed to? Am I supposed to be like, yo, so basically, yo, Wunmi,
they said perform.
That top is nice. Yeah, that's what I mean. That top is nice. However, like, I'm just gonna be like, oh hi, you're right.
Yeah.
Because you're not always that person. I'm both. Do you know what I mean? I can be soft and I can be hard and I can be vulnerable and I can be guarded. I can be all of those things at the same time. So that's kind of why. But when people get to know me, when people see me, they're like, oh my God, Z, you're so nice. And I'm like, yeah, I am.
I'm just human.
I'm just an opinion. And I don't think people are used to seeing someone that as opinionated as me. And I don't actually think I'm that opinionated, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think anything I say is like, whoa. It's not like, wow. It's just, we hadn't seen someone that was as opinionated as me, I think, when I first started, if that makes sense. It was a bit weird. So I think that's why people cling on to that thing about me. But when you see me, when you know me, when you actually watch my videos, I'm cool. Like, I want to kind of go back a little bit, because I think, like you said, you know, we're not one-dimensional humans. Like, we have multiple layers. So I want to almost just kind of tap back into the childlike, you know, version of you when you were growing up. If you had like one word to describe just your overall upbringing, what would that word be? Pleasant. I would say I had a nice upbringing. I think I had a good upbringing. I think I had a good childhood. I had a good life. I didn't necessarily like want for anything, and that doesn't mean I had like shitloads of everything. I wasn't like living in this huge house or had loads of. It wasn't nothing like that. It's just that my mum worked really hard to make sure, you know, that I did extra curriculum activities outside of school, drama club, singing, dancing, all of that thing. Horse riding, tennis, all of those things that my mum made sure that I was always doing some sort of activity after school. And she was a single parent. It's not like she came from shitloads of money either. She just worked really hard. So I had a nice time, and I always was around a lot of family as well. Like, I grew up with my mum, my gran, and my uncle all in one like household. And like, it was nice, and my cousins were always there. So I'm my mum's only child. I've got two brothers. Two brothers from my dad. But I was brought up as an only child. I always say that. So it was nice. I don't think I had like
a bad childhood.
I didn't have a bad childhood.
What was your relationship? Because I watched that video with you and your mum on your channel. What was your, and there was no much mention of like your dad in, you know, your upbringing. I don't really see you talk about him. So what is your relationship like with him? How involved was he in your childhood?
Yeah, pretty non-existent, I would say. I mean, I think as I've got older, not so much now. I think he's just kind of thought, no hope there. It's like, he tried to like, but I just think when you get to a certain age, there's only so much you can do for me. You can't really do anything for me anymore, I feel. When you get to a certain, like when you get to like 18, what can you do for me now? You haven't been there for that long period. So now you want to come back or try to like build a relationship at like 20 plus. It's a bit like, because the problem is you're still going to feel like you can tell me what to do because you see yourself as my dad. Do you get what I mean? So you're still going to feel like you can put your 2 pence in and be like, oh, I don't think that. And in the back of my head, I'm like, nah, bruh. Like, whatever you say to me is going in one ear and out the other, because there's just not that relationship there. So I don't think I'm angry at him. Because I didn't experience him, if that makes sense. I don't know what it was like to have him there.
Why wasn't he there?
Him and my mum just didn't work out. They just didn't work out. And I think, again, like, one thing about my mum, which I rate and respect about, she never once like badmouthed my dad. Like, even as I've got older and I might say stuff like, oh, she'd be like, oh, you know, maybe you should try and talk to him. And I'll be like, probably not, you know. But she's never badmouthed him. She's never said you can't see him. She's never like called him names or anything like that. Always, you know, she let me experience him by myself. Do you get what I mean?
So you can make your own opinion.
And make my own opinion on him. It just didn't work.
But you know, like, as you grow and, you know, as you evolve as a person, I think especially now when you're at this age where you kind of know yourself better, and you look at life and you're thinking about, you know, just you and yourself in like your own family dynamic, like in your own family. Does that make you think, okay, cool, right now, I mean, at the time when I needed my dad in my life and he wasn't really there, cool, that wasn't great. But now he's open to having that kind of dynamic with me. But I'm almost, well, that's the impression I get. I get the impression that you're the one who's kind of a little bit more closed off on pursuing that kind of relationship. We're thinking about the kind of family dynamic that you might want for yourself. I don't know what that looks like, but does that give you any room to kind of want to explore that relationship a little bit more? Like, is that room there?
Sometimes, I can't remember a lot of my friends, my close friends, have good relationships with their dad. So growing up, I saw that. And I don't know, I can't think of a time where I sat and I was like, oh, I wish I had that as a longing feeling. It might go through my head like, oh, that's nice. That's really nice that she can talk to her dad. But also, I was also fortunate to have quite good male figures in my life. So I grew up with my uncle. My uncle was in my household. And my mum had male friends that were really like, almost like father figures to me as well. So there was male influence in my life. And for me, I think family dynamic, that's why I'm quite, you know, before I have children with anyone, ideally I would like to be married. Probably it's not going to happen now. I'm getting older. My eggs are drying up. So I have to just make things a bit quicker, innit?
Yeah.
So ideally I would have wanted to be like, meet someone, date for like 2 to 3 years, maybe get married, then have kids. I mean, then travel for a little while, enjoy each other. Now it's basically like, boom, bam, let's have kids.
Why do you feel like that?
Because I'm like 32.
I know, but I still feel like that's still enough time for you to do all those things that you want to do. You can still travel, you can still...
So I don't want to like have kids at like 40. I'd rather not. I mean, there's nothing against it, but I'd rather not have kids at... And if I was going to do the time span, like, say if I met someone now, right, you know how talking stages...
Chaotic.
Mate, the jungle, mate. Like, who even knows what's happening in that world over there? So you do that for like talking stage can last for up to... On average nowadays.
5 years.
What? Well, there you go. So then you've got all the... Like, I don't have enough time now, so I'd have to... Ideally, but I would want to make sure that when I have a child, that the father figure is there. And that's... But then you can't control that because actually when when I was born, my parents were together. It's not that they weren't together. It just didn't work out. And it fell apart. So you can't plan it, but ideally that's what I would want.
What is that aspect of your life now, since you've kind of brought it up? Just that dating...
It's a shit show. It's a fucking shit show.
I watched the video that you posted on Instagram not too long ago. You were like, oh God, I need you to have more creativity when it comes to like taking me out or taking women out, like all this basic, what is it, going out to eat or something?
It's just like, how many times can I, like, honestly, I'm 32 and when I said it, I was like, oh yeah, I've been dating for 10 years. And people are like, you've been dating for a decade. Like, what's your problem? And I'm like, obviously you dumb idiots. I haven't been dating for a straight decade. I've had relationships in the middle, you idiots. However, like by and large, I've been out here like dating in a relationship. You date in your relationship as well. So like all of these, it's actually horrible.
Do you think it's harder because of who you are now and the space that you occupy? I can imagine that men might find it a little bit more intimidating or just not really even know what to say to you.
Yeah,
because you have very strong opinion on men.
I do, but I have a strong opinion on everything though. That's the thing. And I feel like men, like the type of guys I like are probably gonna find what I do too much. And not too much in a bad way, but I like the alpha guy. I like the guy that is gonna be, you know.
You and this alpha.
I love it. I just like a man's man. I've always, and maybe that could be because of the absence of my father. Who fucking knows? It could be that's what I yearn for, that manly.
Is that a thought process that you've kind of thought about a lot? Because I think for you to like randomly kind of throw that in there, I feel like it might have came to your mind at some point.
Yeah, I have definitely. I thought about it, like the type of guys I go for. Why do I go for those type of guys? Or, you know, why do I gel with those type of guys? Or why do I kind of want those guys? Do you get? Why don't I go for the softer guy or the guy that I know actually is probably going to treat me really well and I'm not going to have to panic about this and that and whatever, but I go for that guy.
But it's so weird because I think like I hear that from, obviously how old am I? I'm 25, right? So usually when you get to well, you've been dropping your age, so I'm like, well, let me just compare. So hear me out here. So whenever I'm talking to my friends and like, so obviously some of my friends go, it kind of gets up to the age of like 27, 28, and when they get to that 27 mark, that's when, or 26 mark, that's when they're like, you know, this type of man, the man who is super strong, super this, super that, not really soft, is completely out the window because you are mad. But you're here and you're like, oh, but you still like that, so at what point do you feel like it's going to be or do you think, or do you ever see yourself getting to a point where it's like, do you know what, this type of man, this alpha man, this ego-driven man, is just going to get completely thrown out the window? Or do you just feel like that's just what you like and you're just going to keep trying to find that?
I think that I probably will keep going for that, unfortunately.
God, why are you doing this to yourself? Why?
Because, you know, because I've met guys.
Yeah.
It's just, I've met guys where it works. Obviously,
what works?
Because they're not here, so it doesn't work. But I mean, it works.
Wait, here where? What do you mean,
like
in the country?
I mean, they're not with me now, so evidently it hasn't worked. I was like, I've met guys and it's worked, but evidently it's not because I'm fucking still single. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. What I'm trying to do now, actually, because you're right. What I'm trying to do is find a good balance.
Yeah.
So it's like the guy that is, and then the guy that is. And then we come together and it's perfect.
Maybe we specify, because I always find that in our heads, right, we have all these ideas that we build up. And I think when we get very specific, as in like down to a T, saying, okay, the guy that, you know how you're like, the guy that is and the guy that is what is the guy that is and what is the guy
that's a bit soft and the guy that is a bit. But this is the thing. When I say alpha, I don't necessarily mean he has to be. That's the thing. I think there's this narrative around the word alpha. That it has to be a toxic thing.
I actually think that was your fault.
Me?
I blame, no, that was your
David.
fault. Yes.
No.
That whole conversation had the whole world going mad. Because I was thinking, I mean, being an alpha man is not a madness. Like, it's normal. Not. So why is everybody going crazy?
Because I said I didn't see him as an alpha, and everyone was getting upset as to why. And I said, because I just feel like, yes, just because you provide for your family and do all these, I think it doesn't necessarily make you an alpha. It's to do with presence. It's to do with the way you carry yourself. It's to do with like you walking in a room, commanding the space.
Okay, so describe that.
What do you mean?
Describe that alpha man.
Like,
so when you say walk in the room, what is that energy? What is that energy?
I don't even like loud guys because again, a lot of people.
But that doesn't have to be.
But a lot of people when that happened, it was like, oh, you want the drug dealer, you want the road man, and I was like, no, I stay far away from the motherfuckers because I don't want no one booting down my door. I don't want no ops pulling. I'm a shook chick. I ain't holding nothing for you. I ain't do it like. On God, nothing. You can't ask me.
What did we say earlier about the room?
I will listen. There you go. Thank you. What do you mean? I ain't got time for any of that. I dated one road guy, and I kept saying to him like, "What do you do?" We was together. We were actually together. But I knew him from college, so I was like, "What do you like?" And he would never tell me exactly. He just said, "Don't worry, you've got nothing to worry about." Fucking red flag.
And you said, "Okay, sure."
No. I was like, "Okay," and I was like, I said to him, "Look, I can't be in this lifestyle. I don't like this. I don't know actually what you do. You haven't told me what you do, but all I know is that we go out a lot and we live a nice life, and that's fast cash life that we're living right now. I know that. I know what fast cash life is. Fast cash life is us going to restaurants. You're going to drop me a nice pair of shoes and I'm going to be like, oh, nice. That is not a 9-to-5 type of money. There's nothing wrong with 9 to 5 at all before people take it out of context. What I'm saying is I know when guys are making fast money and they've got money to throw around. Guys that have a more steady income, they can't do that, which is rightly so. Yeah. But I said to him, I can't do this because this is not for me. I'll help you, become legit or do something that is, he didn't want to do it. So I just had to say no. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't entertain, I don't like road guys, it's not for me. Yeah. But my alpha is someone that just is quiet, holds his own space, doesn't have to be too loud. You're confident in yourself. You don't have to be making like shitloads of money, but you're comfortable. We can do things together. We can build together. Yeah. We can enjoy each other. You compliment me. Yeah. You're not, and I probably say alpha because I know I'm quite, I come across as strong, and I say come across because I'm actually quite soft. I'm very soft. I'll bust a tear. I will cry. I'm highly emotional. Speak to any guy that I've ever linked. They 110% get mad essay texts from me all the time. I will ring your phone off 5 times. Why have you not picked? I'm not this hard girl that everyone thinks I am. Oh, I'm there for the essay texts. How you mean? I'm sending you long and voice notes. Oh, if I send you a voice note, excuse me, hi, I've called you 3 times. What do you think you're doing? Why did you not pick up the phone? I am the worst, especially if I get comfortable with a guy and you haven't answered my phone calls and you're there watching my Insta stories. I will screenshot it, circle it and send it to you and say, you are taking the piss. Don't fuck about with me today. Like that's me. I am like that. I'm very emotionally involved. I'm very I'm not how people think I'm, I
feel you. Okay, so I wanted to take it back a bit, just go back into just you growing up, right? Because I know that your mum was very heavily involved in your childhood and like everything that you wanted to do. And firstly, your mum, I need her in my life. She is amazing. Like there's something about the way she talks that just commands respect, number one, and she knows what the hell she's talking about. And I can also tell, just in terms of you guys' dynamic, that there's certain conversation or certain things that she says that you almost don't know how to respond to.
Yeah,
you're just like, there was a moment in the interview where she said to you, I'm not even going to go into what she said to you. She said something to you, you were like, right, read me for filth in my own interview. I said, okay. But
probably doing the sex. She hates me talking about sex.
It was sex, but it was also career related, actually.
Oh, what did she say?
It was about acting. It was about you in the acting space. But we're going to get into that, because I know that obviously she really cared about nurturing, you as a talent, because she really believed in, what you were doing, right? So kind of take me back to even before that, because I know you went to private school. So what was private school like, especially for someone like you with your personality and like the vibrancy and everything?
So actually, I went to normal state school.
Yeah.
Up until the age of up until year 4.
Yeah.
And then my mum, I had a private tutor as well. So I was in state school, and then I had a private tutor. And then the private tutor basically, he was saying that the school wasn't pushing me to my ability, and that I was a lot more intelligent than what I was being pushed to. So she recommended this school to my mum. So my mum took me out of that school and then put me into, so I was in primary private school for about 2 to 3 years, right? And then that was I enjoyed it, because the school that I went to, it was had a lot of Asian people in there, a lot of black people, and everyone was kind of just on the same page. And in
terms of what, just what they wanted to do,
I feel like when you go to a private school, sometimes I can't speak because I haven't been to every single school, but my school is like, the teachers are more focused on you, and it was a small school as well, so it was 1 class per year, so it's tiny. There's only there's only 30 people per class as well, so it was a small school, and I just learnt loads, and it was a nice environment. I got to experience a different type. But I used to travel all the way from Hackney to Wembley. That's where the school was, where my mum took me, where I went to. And it was weird, because my mum used to take me in the mornings. Yeah. And then when I got to year 5, I started traveling home by myself all the way from Wembley. So now when I look back, I'm like, what the fuck? I was getting on the bus, then I was getting on the train, then I get on the Nava train, and I come back. But I really loved it. I got to went on ski trips.
You said horse riding.
But horse riding was just off my mum. She used to do things like that just because she wanted to put me through loads of things. She just wanted to. That's one thing. She just wanted to give me loads of options, if that makes sense. So I enjoyed private school, and then Sylvia Young is where I did my secondary education. So that was a private school, which is a theatre school, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday you do academic, which is your maths, your science and whatever, and then Thursday, Friday they called it vocational day, which was Thursday was based around tap, and then Friday was ballet day. So everything was based around that. So what you would fit into your 5 days, I had to fit into my 3 days academic wise. So it was very it was quite tough. It was very hard. And then on top of that, there was an agency attached to the school, so I was going on auditions from young, and all those type of things. So Sylvia Young, I can't imagine going to any other secondary school apart from that, because it kind of molded me into what I am, in understanding the entertainment world, understanding what it was about, understanding the dynamics, understanding just how to be professional, from a very young age, because I've always kind of wanted to be in this world. And so that was my mum's thing of just, I need to just nurture this, get you into that space.
So at what point in your life would you say that you had you identified that, yes, acting, performing is what I want to do? Because I always feel like there's a point.
Well, apparently my mum said I told her when I was 4. I love that. She's like, you said you told me that that's what you wanted to do when you was 4. I mean, I'm not gonna know, but all I know is that I enjoyed it. Yeah. And I really thrived in it. So I don't think I had a moment where I was like, this is what I want to do. It's just almost that's all I've ever known. This is what
feels,
Yeah, because I was doing it from such a young age but I know it might sound like, oh, maybe your mum pushed you into it, but
I didn't get that impression. I don't think I got that. Because I was remotely.
Yeah, in the interview, but just now when I just said, I've never known anything. My mum told me I was 4. People could say, but I enjoyed it. Yeah. So I know there's other things that I was doing that my mum put me in, tennis, and I didn't like it. My mum really wanted me to do.
Did you like horse riding?
I liked the horse riding, but my mum's very athletic. She used to do athletics when she was young. She used to compete professionally until she tore her Achilles, and she tore it, but she used to compete, she used to do sprinting and everything, right? So I think she really wanted me to do some sort of sport. Hence why she did the swimming and the tennis, and I was just like, not for me. And so that's when the acting thing and all the drama and all that started happening.
Talk to me about acting, because I know that, you know, in all the schools that you went to, the various schools that you went to, they were always like, Zeze, you're sick. Zeze, you're amazing. Zeze, you're amazing. Now, I obviously saw, I was at the Boxing Day premiere, remember? And I came up to you and I was like, bitch, that was amazing. You were so sick. Because I genuinely was watching. I was like, oh my gosh, I know you were playing yourself.
Right.
But I don't know, like I could, maybe I pay attention a lot. So I'm like watching everything, but I'm also watching everything about everything that's kind of going on, right? So when you came on screen, I just wasn't sitting there passively. Like I was really, really watching. But it was just so natural. Like it just was so natural.
Thank you.
It was just amazing. Like genuinely, like you're really, really, really good.
Oh, thanks.
So when I was like watching your mum talk about you and acting and kind of like just comparing the two, I was like, no, I understand why the teachers would have said this and why your mum feels so passionate about, you know, you and acting. So talk to me about your love for acting and also kind of, actually, do you know what, let's start there. Talk to me about your love for acting after leaving Sylvia Young and kind of navigating that streets for yourself.
Acting is, I have like a love-hate relationship with it.
Yeah.
I would say at the moment, I'm kind of like in the middle with it. In the middle, but more towards still the hate side, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Because it's very draining, acting, and it's also very, in my opinion, I think it's quite soul destroying if you're not getting jobs, and your confidence as well. It ruins your confidence. For me, it did, because what happens is you're going on auditions constantly. You're going on auditions every other day or whatever. And sometimes you might get down to the final two, and you know it's you and another person that's up for the role. And you just never hear again. You won't ever hear about it again. Or sometimes actually you get down to the final two, they will probably let you know. But
you don't get the role.
You don't get the role. But by and large, like early stages of auditions, you go for the audition, you might get a recall. You never hear from the recall again until you watch the TV and you see the girl that you saw in the waiting room with you has got the job, and you're like, oh shit, she got the job. And you're constantly asking yourself, like, what's wrong with me? Why didn't I get this job? Do you know what I mean? Or and it just kind of for me, it just started taking away my self-confidence, because imagine you're doing something all the time, and you're actually not getting anywhere with it. Then on top of that, you, as a creative, you have that weird space of like, I want to do this, but I also need to make money. And most of the time what happens is you do like a retail job or a job that doesn't
kind of
actually, that doesn't actually fulfill you. Doesn't fulfill you, and you start feeling even more sad now because you're going for auditions, nothing's happening there. You're going to a job that you don't really like, but you're doing it because you in hope that this thing is going to pop off for you. But this thing is never popping off for you. And then I got to like 27, and I was just like, this is not working for me.
Because that's what you were doing, right? So you had a part-time job.
I had a part-time job. I went to like Marks & Spencer for like 10 years, like part-time. And it was just...
What was that? Okay, because I know that, you know, I know this. I know, obviously, you know this, 'cause that's what we're talking about right now. But that creative space is like really, really incredibly hard to navigate, right? And I can imagine a space like acting, Father Lord.
It's horrible.
It's horrible, right? In that moment when you're following your passion, you have all these hopes, all these dreams that you're going after, and you feel so passionate about it. You say to yourself, you know, I'm going to do this, get this job, live my lavish life and live my lifestyle, right? And then when life humbles you and you're not getting that, who is that Zeze? How did that Zeze operate her mind? What was her mind like? What did she do?
Oh, I was really sad. Like, I was really sad. I remember when I turned 25, I had like this weird, like mid-quarter life crisis.
25 is peak. Oh my
gosh.
I
was like, I remember like just before I turned 25, I was just a mess, because I thought by then, like, I thought I would at least, if my career wasn't going great, I thought maybe my love life or family, like I would have something there to make you. But now when you look back, you're like, when I look back as a 32-year-old, right, and I still feel young, like it's mad because I'm 32 and I am young, even though internet will tell you you're not and you're old and you should like be thinking about your pension and why haven't you withdrawn your pension yet? Like literally, like Twitter will make you feel like 32, you're hitting your 70s, yeah?
You're great.
So it's like, when I look back now though, at 25, I think, oh my God, I was so young. I was so young. I didn't even know, I didn't know myself. I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't even know who I was, especially also the world that I came from, where I also came from a world where I could see loads of people doing well.
Yeah.
I went to school with like Rita Ora. I went to school, like Rita Ora was the class below me. Like one of my friends in my class was Louisa Litton. She was in EastEnders. She just done like, she came out of EastEnders. She was doing well. Like I went to school with Vanessa from the Saturdays. I went with all these people. Like I was around them all the time on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So you're turning on your TV and you're seeing like all these people. And then also at that time, after I finished Sylvia's, I went to Identity Drama School.
Yeah.
So I was in class with people like John Boyega. I wouldn't say grew up together. We grew up together almost. Like we were cool. Like we were tight. Same with like Letitia. Like I was in class with all of these people. So imagine like I'm there and I'm seeing, okay, you're doing Star Wars now. You've done Attack the Block now. You've done this, like you're doing this. You can't but help feel like, what the fuck is happening? We're like, I'm a failure. Yeah. Because all of your peers are doing really well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Not
my interviewer mates. I have my phone ringing in a minute.
I actually had it on, do you know, I've got it on Do Not Disturb, but they've called twice.
Sorry,
yeah, they like it. All of your peers are doing really well, so it makes you really sad. Like I was sad, I was really down, and I was thinking, what can I do? Like I feel like a failure. I know, like okay, I'm doing a 9 to 5 now, but that's not. I know I'm not going to be happy doing this type of 9 to 5 anyway. So I need to find a way to kind of make myself happy, even if none of this ever happens. And I think that's an important conversation that sometimes as creatives that we don't have. Like I'm a very realistic person, sometimes maybe too realistic, almost probably on the verge of being pessimistic, right? I'm very like, not everyone is going to make it. So I might be one of the people that don't make it. So what am I going to do so that if I don't make it doing what I want to do, I'm still going to be happy. Okay. I'm still going to be fulfilled. Like if I never get to act again, what am I going to do?
I think there's like a lot to pull from everything you just said. I think the aspect of, you know, watching your peers and them kind of shooting up and you're like, hello, me too, I'm good. Like, what's going on here, right? So I kind of wanted to dive into that just a little bit because obviously I know now you occupy a space where, you know, you're vocal, you're known, you're doing well, you're established, right? And you've carved out a lane that is very specific for you, which is great. But on the same token, your first love is acting or was acting or still is acting maybe, right? Yeah. And then you're now seeing, you know, your classmates or the people you've known, you know, the likes of John Boyega and everyone else like that kind of just occupying a space that, you know, was once your first love, right? So my question to you is watching them, and obviously you know it and recognizing you're doing well yourself, right? We'll leave that there. Yeah. How does it feel now at the point that you're out watching them occupy the space that they're occupying? How do you feel watching that?
Like, do I still look at it and be like, oh, I wish I was doing acting?
I mean, I don't really know. You can answer that. Because it can be, I mean, do you look at it and think that?
No, not anymore.
Okay.
I don't look at it, but that probably is because, like you said, because I'm doing okay now. If I wasn't doing okay, then I probably still would be like, nothing's happening for me. But also, I was starting to feel okay regardless of the Zeze Millz stuff, because I started getting into marketing. So I enjoyed marketing. I started getting into that space.
Like through work, right?
Yeah, for my 9 to 5, I started working in marketing and I enjoyed it because I still was able to kind of like use my knowledge of what I knew of the world, of my, like what I spoke about online. I was able to kind of take that into my job. And I was actually quite happy. Like when I got made redundant from the job that I was in, I was quite sad, even though the Zeze Millz stuff was really picking up. COVID? That was during COVID, yeah. And I was sad. I was like, wow, because I actually started to I found a job that wasn't necessarily in that world, but I still really enjoyed it, and it made me happy, and I was happy. I was happy to wake up and go to work. So I started to find other things that made me happy, and that's what I'm saying. I think sometimes we always we're taught that plan B is bad, but in life, I think you do yourself even more of a disservice if you don't have a plan B. But your plan B, in my opinion, should be just as lit as your plan A, if that makes sense. Like, it's like you've got bare shoes, right? So you got bare shoes, but you know that pair of shoes is just as lit as the other pair of shoes. Do you get what I'm saying? You're not going to just wear that one pair of shoes all the time because that's the only shoe.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, you got loads of options and you're happy to wear all of those options and you feel just as good putting on that shoe as you do that shoe. Do you know what I mean? So that's what I wanted to get to in a place of life. And I think that's what's important, because I think a lot of young people, we're constantly chasing something, chasing. We don't get it. Depression, people are committing suicide, people are sad, people don't know, they're placing value in so many other things that it's just too much anxiety. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I feel you.
And it's just too much. So now I look at them, I look at all those people and I think sick. And I feel even more happy because I'm doing okay. So it's nice to see everyone's doing good.
Do you know what though? I've actually, the way you just explained the whole having a plan A and having a plan B, I think it's nice to hear, because I don't think I've ever actually thought about it like that. I'm very much like, this is what I want and I'm going after it. I think you can kind of, I mean, depends on, you know, how you see life and your beliefs and stuff, definitely go after what you want, right? But I kind of wanted to rein it back a little bit. There was a point that your mum made in the conversation. Remember earlier when I was saying that I think your mum has a way of like pulling at you in certain moments, because she probably knows you best, right?
Yeah.
In certain ways.
Yeah.
And there was a moment where she said, she looked you dead in the eye and she said, I don't feel with all the compliments that you kind of got within the acting space from, you know, Sylvia Young and all the other schools that you went to about how talented you are, I don't feel like you did enough for yourself to break down the doors or break down the various doors for yourself to like kind of, you know, make yourself thrive in that space. Right, You didn't answer that question. So I'm bringing that back to ask you, in hindsight, obviously now I know that, you know, you are happy or you feel fulfilled or whatever in, you know, the space you're occupying, but do you, in hindsight now thinking, do you actually feel like you didn't do enough to break down those doors for yourself? And you were kind of just expecting them to open for you?
No, I disagree with her, because my mum thinks, okay, I'll give you an example, right? When I was living in LA, right, the type of things that my mum classes as knocking down doors, is this. I was living in LA for 6 months, right? I told her, oh my God, last night I went to a club and I saw Idris Elba. Oh, did you go up to Idris Elba and tell him that you're an actress? Did you go up to him and tell him that? No, Mum. Of course I didn't go up to Idris Elba.
Is that a weird thing to say?
Well,
I'm sorry.
Why would I would not go up
I would go up to Idris Elba and be like, hello.
In the club.
In the club.
No.
Hello, Idris. I'm an actress.
No,
Hiya.
I would never do that. Or she would say, have you tweeted Denzel? Tweet Denzel and tell him that. And I'm like, Mum, it doesn't work like that. That's the type of thing that my mum thinks is like doing a thing. Yeah. Maybe people would go up to Idris, but I know I wouldn't go up. I just think that it's not that he's not going to digest what you're saying, so it's a waste of time. And if anything, he's probably going to be quite like, who knows? But that's the type of thing that my mum means. I feel like I did. The only regret I have with acting is that I was too quick to react in a certain situation that I think was the downfall of my acting side.
What was that?
So I had a disagreement with somebody and I was too much in my feelings and I stepped away from them and I was just like, well, I'm not doing this anymore. And really I should have just swallowed my pride, taking whatever punishment I was going to get from, I had an argument with one of the teachers. Because I've always been like, I want to get the last word in. And that's one thing I have learned is I don't always need to get the last word in. And that's that was something that I had to live with, because I knew if I didn't try to get that last word in, like I always tried to get the last word in, I definitely would have been somewhere else in my career. And with acting, and that's the only thing I've ever had to live with that and that regret.
How is it living with that kind of regret?
Well, now it's okay because...
Is it okay?
Well, yeah, because it's like I feel as if what I'm doing now was what I'm meant to do.
Okay, but let's put that aside because I think that's completely different. I think what you're doing now is great, right? But I'm thinking, if we're talking specifically about acting, you having that regret, how is it living with that though? Like, is it... Because right now it's easier to kind of probably push down the toilet, you know, while you're navigating your everyday life. But in the moments where it was still big, still finding your feet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was the only regret I had. Yeah. And that's the regret that I had to live with, that I had to kind of just push through and plow through and be like, you know, that's a learning curve. And now I know, like now I know when not to do the last word. I know when it's like, okay, you're going to push it too far now. Just let them, take it as it is and what it is. You don't have to always have the last say, you know?
Do you find it easy? Because that sounds like a moment where you had to really, or a period in life where you had to learn to forgive yourself. Do you find that easy for you to do? Forgiving yourself for certain things you've done in life?
I've ever thought about like forgiving myself, if that makes sense. I don't think I've ever thought like, oh, do I forgive myself? I kind of but maybe it's just, maybe me getting over it is me forgiving myself. It's just different ways of putting it. But I don't think I've ever kind of
thought about it as like forgiving.
But it probably is. That's what I'm saying. Like now you said it probably is. Me saying, oh, just get over it. That's me just be like, okay, move on, Z. Like it's fine. But yeah, I think that was probably one of the only things that I've probably felt like mad regret. Like that feeling of like, you let yourself down. Like you really let yourself down. Like what a dickhead. Like literally, I was just like, what? You are a buffoon, bruv. Like what was you thinking? Like I just honestly, for about a good 2 years, I'd just be like, what was you thinking?
2 years.
Yeah, because in that time when I left, I've only, if you think about it, with me, I've only just started maybe in the last year and a half making like proper money from doing Zeze Millz and maybe proper like notoriety, if that makes sense. Do you get what I mean? Where it's like you're in different spaces as well. You're not just in the space that you kind of came up in, you're now occupying other spaces only in the last like year and a half. So before that, you are like constantly living with that feeling of like, oh, only if I did that, only if I did that, only if I did that. Do you get what I mean? So it's hard, you know? Yeah.
I love that answer. I don't know. I'm really enjoying the conversation.
I knew it was going to be like a nice little,
it's a different Zeze. I think even the thinking about the acting side of things, I think even because I kind of do want to part that, but I do want to say that when we spoke at the Mobos, if you remember, and I was saying to you, I was like, oh my God, at Boxing Day. And I was like, oh, what did you do this year? Like, what have you found exciting? And you were like, da 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 da. And I was like, yeah, Boxing Day also, you were acting. You were like, oh yeah, that. And I was like, girl, what is that?
I'm also like really hard on myself.
You are, I can tell, which is so similar to me.
I'm really hard on myself. God. I'm just like, oh yeah, that was great.
Worst.
Like, I'll be like, oh that was, oh yeah, that was fine. And then
why do we do that?
I don't know,
but genuinely, like I think that is a conversation for us to have actually, because I'm very similar. Like I am, oh my God, I'm a bulldog. I will do the maddest thing. Somebody will say, Wunmi, oh my goodness, dilute it. Oh yeah, that was exciting. And the reason I probably remember you at the Mobos is because I felt me. Like I felt, do you know what I mean? Like I really got it.
Maybe it's a defense. It's a defense mechanism. And I think it's a defense mechanism because actually what we do is, I don't really like using the word lucky, but we are lucky because there's a lot of blessed. That's a good one. Yeah, we're very blessed and fortunate because there's a lot of, when you see, you go on socials and you'll see a lot of people trying to do similar things, and everyone's trying to figure it out and push through and whatever. And you see, and that's what I was saying earlier. I'm very aware that I'm fortunate to be in the position that I am in now. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I kind of just play everything down because it's like, oh yeah, that's fine because it's not that great because whatever. There's something else. And it also probably is to do with how people actually maybe see me as well, if that makes sense.
What do you mean?
People will always try to downplay what I've done or what I've managed to achieve. Oh, she doesn't chat shit on the internet.
Okay.
I think my probably defense mechanism is to downplay it before people get to downplay.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, oh, you know, all she does is chat shit on the internet. Whatever. So then I'll be like, you done Boxing Day, but before you tell me that it's acting, I'll be like, oh yeah, but I was only playing myself because I know there's probably someone.
That's why I wanted to clarify that.
There's probably someone that's been like, oh yeah, but she's not acting, she's only playing herself.
Yeah.
So before you get to tell me, oh, you're only playing yourself, I'll fucking beat you to it and say, well, I'm only playing myself. So there's nothing you can say now that's gonna get one up on me. I have built like coping mechanisms or ways to quickly like deflect or, okay, I know you're going to try and come for this, so I'll come for it so you don't have any ammo, if that makes sense. Do you get what I mean? So again, what I was saying about if someone, when I said to you, oh, it's only playing, I was playing myself. That's it. Because just in case, someone tries to say something like, well, I know why she's going on like she was doing some big acting thing. These times she's only playing herself. Because there's always going to be...
Did you get a lot of people saying that?
There's always a chance. Yeah. No one didn't really... I think I saw one comment maybe of a girl saying, I was actually quite underwhelmed by Zeze because of the way she did. And I thought that she could have dug deeper. And I was just like, oh, here we go. But it's just... So I do that to protect myself.
So you said that, you know, you're quite an emotional person in the same way that I am. And I know there's certain comments that I read and I'm like,
yeah,
okay, right. And I can imagine that you are the same way, but the difference with you is when you come online, your perception is very much, I don't care, what's my business, right? But when we're actually talking about Zeze and, you know, the heart of Zeze, how much does the backlash, and especially in the early stages, how much did that affect you emotionally?
It depends like what state of mind I'm in, if that makes sense. So if I'm already quite vulnerable, like I was saying to someone yesterday, I was going to tweet something, which I did end up tweeting in the end. But before I tweeted it, I always think about the possible backlash or what is going to come from this tweet. Am I in the mental space to deal with that? Am I patient enough? Am I calm enough to engage with people? Because again, or am I not going to engage? Is this tweet for me to engage, or is this my opinion and that's it? I'm leaving it at that. I don't care what anyone says. But even that, I have to be in the right mind frame because I'm naturally argumentative and like want to discuss things. So I have to literally program myself, be like, be ready. So yeah, I've over the years, it's hard. Like I've cried. I cry sometimes. I still cry. Like I still might get on the phone and cry to my friend and be like, I can't believe this. Can you believe this person said this? Or, you know, just have a moment where I just like, I don't want to be in socials. Like the last thing that happened with White Yardie, that was probably the thing that blew up with the unapologetic, and that was a absolute fucking mess. And it was horrible. Like it was really just annoying because also what also happens is that you realize people actually don't want to hear explanation. Once they have something in their head of what they think it is, that's it. You might as well just leave it to them. So it's just it's hard, but I think you have to have your like support network around you. So if that's like I got bare soundboards and people that are just probably annoyed of me calling them up and be like, can you believe this happened? But you have to have I think with what we do, you have to have, well, you're not combative at all. I know. So I'm saying with what we do, you don't like, you know, I know what I mean. I am. But with what, leave me out. I just have to, it's weird. I don't actually have a straight answer for that. I've done therapy. I've gone therapy because...
is that what has been in this space what's kind of led you to doing therapy?
Yeah, I think it was two things. I lost my gran and I didn't digest it properly. I didn't properly like grieve. I didn't sit in it. I didn't live in it for enough time.
Yeah.
I kind of just like smoothed it over. And then there was a lot of stuff happening on socials at the time. So I think both of them coming together, it was a lot for me to kind of take in. And then I realized I was just a mess. Like I was just like crying all the time, just really down. Like I was at work, not concentrating. Like I remember to the point like my manager, she's the one that sent me home. She was just like, this is not okay. Like you're making like small mistakes that I know you would never make. So you need to like take some time out for yourself. Yeah. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to do therapy because I thought I need to speak to somebody, because also with what I do, because although I've got like people around me, what I found out also during lockdown when all the Black BLM stuff was happening is that not all of my friends are going to have the same opinion as me. So I will call my friends being like, oh my God, can you believe this has happened? Hoping that they would side with me, and they might be like, actually, I agree with what such and such has said. Yeah. And at the time, it's not a nice thing to hear because you want your friend to side with you. You want your friend to be like, yeah, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. But then that's not fair on them, because then you're asking them not to be true to themselves. Yeah. And I don't have any relationships like that. And I think that's with me. People think I'm brutally honest, but all the people in my life, they are very brutally honest with me, and I'm very brutally honest with them. Yeah. Like Lynn, people don't understand our dynamic. Lynn May, they don't get it because they're just like, what? How does that work?
Why? I don't get it. Why would I wouldn't understand that kind of dynamic? Because people just like, you two are so like argumentative. How did this work? Okay. And you have different opinions on quite a lot of stuff. Like, so we will get on the phone and we'll have a debate, like hardcore debate, and then we'll just be fine. I'll be like, all right, cool, speak to you later. But most people, they don't understand that. So a lot of people don't understand how you can disagree with someone and still be friends. Hence why the rappers always get upset with me. Because it's like, okay, I might have said this was shit, but it doesn't mean I don't like you as a person. Or I might have said I don't agree with you on that, but it doesn't mean I don't like you as a person. Yeah. So that's difficult as well, because you're trying to, like you said, like when you see me in person or when you speak to me, you're like, oh, you're actually really cool. But
I am cool, but just because I'm opinionated or I'm a bit hard online doesn't mean I'm not cool, if that makes sense. And that's hard as well, navigating, trying to find like a good like medium of showing like this side and that side.
Yeah, it is hard. I think trying to show the various versions of yourself is always going to be hard, especially when you have a platform that you do. Let's actually talk about the beginning of you actually building up the Zeze Millz platform, because it almost, not that it felt like it came out of nowhere, it just felt like one day I saw a video and you were attacking gigs about some sort of
Basically, that's what I heard. And even that
I was like, girl, what happened? So I know we already, kind of tapped into, your acting space, and you navigating that, and you come into a conclusion of this might not be right now, blah, 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 and you kind of just moving forward with things. So did that come off the back of that thought process about acting, and you kind of coming online as somebody else and being kind of creating Zeze Millz?
I just remember thinking like I was opinionated. I remember thinking, okay, the acting thing's not working. Let's try something else. And actually it was Lynn. Lynn is very like tough love person, right? And she's very like, what are you doing with your life and why are you being a waste girl? That's how Lynn will talk to you. Like, are you all right? Like, what are you doing? So at the time I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do because the acting thing wasn't working. So I was like, I'm opinionated. She's like, why don't you just do a video? And then originally I was like, okay, cool. So I said, I want to do it with a headscarf because I don't want to put makeup on and I don't want to have to make myself look nice every time I do a video because I'm fucking lazy when it comes to that stuff, So I was like, cool, I'll call it Headscarf Diaries. And originally I started with actually just sitting in front of a camera like this and talking like this. But it didn't work well. So then I started doing it on my phone.
Work well in what sense?
I started uploading them onto YouTube and no one cared because it was... I think it felt
a bit too...
It was too contrived. It was too contrived and people didn't like it. So then I was like, one day randomly I was like, do you know what? I'm going to start doing it on my phone. So I started doing Headscarf Diaries on my phone and that's what people seemed to like. So then I was like, okay, this seems to be picking up, but you're not making money from it. No one cares about it. It's picking up, but actually no one really cares. Do you know what I mean? So I'm still working, I'm still doing whatever. I'm still actually then trying to also find jobs. It's weird because I'm trying to navigate that, but also I'm trying to navigate corporate world and figure out what in a corporate world, where I sit, where I would be okay. So I think at one point I was working for this like restaurant kitchen company where they sold like fridges to like, and ovens to like, they would design kitchens for restaurants, like big restaurants, and I would take all the orders and all this stuff. I left there, then I went to another marketing company, then I went to this other marketing company. And then Headscarf Diaries all this time was picking up. It was building. And then I thought naturally the next thing would be probably to have a show. I don't know why I thought that would be
moving on to YouTube.
I just thought the next thing would be to take this away from it being just this to something bigger.
Okay, cool.
So that was my thought process of like, okay. And then I thought, who would be, I don't know about cameras, I don't know all this stuff, I don't know whatever. Who would be the person
that would know these things?
That would know these things and probably would be good, and who has the demographic that I'm reaching anyway. And that's when I met Andy.
But the story about how you met Andy is actually what's interesting, because you met him in like IKEA, right?
I met him in IKEA. So I was literally buying some stuff, I think, for I just moved out. So I was trying to look for a sofa, and I saw him in IKEA, and I just went up to him and I was like, you don't know me or anything like that, but I do this thing called Headscarf Diaries. It's okay, it's doing all right. People seem to be involved in it, they like it, but I want to take it to the next level now. And Andy's like, cool. He gave me his email. He said, email me and we'll take it from there. I emailed him like the next day. I said, boom, this is He's like, all right, come in. Do you want to come for a screen test? I went in for a screen test. He said, all right, cool, that's fine. And we started shooting Zeze Millz Show the next week. Wow. So it was very, 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 very
Zeze
quick.
Millz Show as in Headscarf Diaries?
As in like
that, or
when
Zeze Millz Show's the interview?
So a Zeze Millz Show originally started with me doing like Hot Topics. And me
I remember that.
Yeah, it was Hot Topics, me talking to the thing, and then I would do stuff like Headscarf Diaries. And
as like a separate segment.
As a separate, and then we tried loads of different segments. That's the thing, like in the beginning we tried so many different segments. Headscarf Diaries, and we had this thing called 3 Hot 1 Not, and I'll talk about music. We talk about all these different things to see what would land and what would hit. But I always knew I wanted to do interviews. I always knew like, okay, naturally.
Really?
Yeah, I always knew.
How did you, when you say you naturally knew that you always wanted to do interviews, at what stage did you recognize that, and where did that love for interviews actually come from?
Because I think growing up, I was always kind of like obsessed with with like popular culture. I would always watch like the day in the life of and all those type of things, or, you know, Cribs and all that. I was so interested in like whoever I liked. Like if I liked Aaliyah, I wanted to watch everything about Aaliyah. I wanted to and I didn't necessarily, I loved her music, but I didn't care about why you wrote Rock the Boat. I just wanted to know like what your favorite food was. Like that's why I used to love watching things like The Day in the Life of, because you got to see them. And I was like, when I wanted to speak to people, when I see people that I admire, I just want to know about your life. I didn't want to really necessarily know about your album. Like I know that is a part of you, but I want to know like, like what, like why don't you put your toast in the toaster? How comes like all those type of things that I want to know like weird shit about you. So I thought I just want to talk to people, but I want to know weird shit about them. And then that's why I started doing the interviews and how I started doing the interviews.
Was you doing the Zeze Millz show and you even, not even necessarily the interview, but just you kind of going onto the platform a way at the back of your mind, this is going to be really, really good for me pursuing my acting career?
No.
Honestly?
No.
Really?
Actually, yeah. Like honestly, I honestly just thought I'm done with acting. And we'll see what happens. Also, if I'm being totally honest with you, I didn't necessarily think the Zeze Millz show was going to do anything. If I'm being honest with myself. And
what was the thought process? This is just vibes.
See what happens. Whatever happens. Yeah. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I tried. Do you know what I mean? I didn't have this thing of like, oh my God, Zeze Millz show is going to be this like thing. Like I would never think, oh, Zeze Millz show in 2 years time or 3 years time, I'm going to be fucking interviewing Ed Sheeran. That was not my thought process. Even like, it's so mad because I have like a list of people that I would want to interview, and there's some people that I've interviewed that I've not even put them on the list because I didn't even think it was attainable. Possible. I didn't think it was possible.
Someone like Ed Sheeran interviewing him, how did that feel like for you?
Mad. Like I cried. I cried the morning of. I cried the morning of because it was very overwhelming, because it was like, like you like. You've worked really hard. Like, be proud of yourself. And it was a very surreal moment. And also because when it happened, there's so many times, you know this, you message people, they say they're gonna come, they don't come.
Or on the day of, you're waiting with the crew.
You know what I mean?
And you're like, hello.
You're just like,
there's no one here.
You know what I mean? You know how it is, sliding in the DMs, trying to think, So there's been so many times when I think something is going to happen, when I'm supposed to interview someone that I think is like, wow, and it doesn't happen. So with Ed, like I knew it was happening. Rest in peace, Jamal Edwards set the whole thing up. It was Jamal that made it all happen. And I remember Jamal messaged me, he was like, Z, Ed's got COVID. And I was like, fuck. I was like, you're fucking kidding me. And this was like the week we were supposed to film. So already, I already thought, here we go. Like, I always have this thing in the back of my head, like, something's gonna go wrong. Like, this is too good to be true. So when Jamal said Ed's got COVID, I was like, fuck, I knew this was gonna happen. I knew that this was not gonna happen. Why does this always happen to me? Why can I always see something? I can almost touch it and then it goes poof. And I was like, this is so annoying. I was just like, whatever. And I thought, do you know what? If it happens, it happens. And then Jamal was like, don't worry, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna make sure it happens. It will happen, don't worry, it will happen. And then when it did actually happen, and I was like on my way there, I was like, what the fuck? Like this is happening to, like, I'm going to interview Ed Sheeran.
It's so weird that you're saying all this now, but I've never really got that from you, ever. Yeah. Like I've never got the impression that you even remotely, honestly, I've never got the impression that you remotely cared.
About what? My show?
No, not about the show. Not about the show, but necessarily like about the guest and like how it made you feel. Because I don't think like you're not online like, oh my God.
No, yeah,
like,
I get.
Do you know what I mean? Like so it's interesting to get this from you and actually know the reality of it, you know?
So many times I've had so many guests where I'm like, oh my God, it's about to happen. It doesn't happen. I'm just like, here we go. Like another one. Also just getting guests as well for my show is hard. Like, you know,
you're telling me
it's
what?
Fucking
as in you're begging on your knees.
You're literally like, oh God, like
please, hi.
Yeah, it's like please. And then it's just, you're like, what do I need to do to like, you know? So all of those things, it's a constant
cycle.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about what do I need to do, right? So there's definitely been a difference in the energy of your show, because if we're talking about the beginning, when you had the likes of, what's this man's name? Money, you know the guy that did the money laundering, what's his name? Fraud Bay. Fraud Bay. You know, you had the likes of Fraud Bay on, and I think, you know, to now having the likes of Ed Sheeran on, there's a massive shift. Not just in terms of the guests, but also in terms of how you narrate the conversation, because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I do definitely think that in the early stages, there was a lot of like fetching for controversy kind of going on. Whereas now, I don't know, there seems to be like more, I feel you more.
The thing is, everything, people always have this idea that I genuinely like go and seek I'm gonna be. But this is the thing, like I was saying earlier, everything I say, I mean it, number one. And number two, everything I say is not actually that outlandish. Like, when you think of all the things that I've ever... Me telling David that he's not alpha male is not something that needs to do the rounds of the world. It's just what you felt. It just happens. Do you get what I mean? That wasn't me thinking this is gonna... Or me even... But what happened was, like I was saying, I think why I used to get so much like in the beginning was because there wasn't anybody that was doing what I was doing in the beginning when it came to giving my opinion. Not necessarily interviews and stuff like that, but when it was talking to the camera directly and saying, I don't like such and such person, or I don't like what you done, calling names out and not giving a shit. No one was doing that here at the like, it's a very American thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's very like, I'm gonna tell you how I feel. Fuck you. We're very reserved, and it's like, you know, like that, like some city girl shit. You know, like that's how they talk.
I thought my American accent was bad.
That's how they talk. The city girls are like, yo, what you saying? I'm like, you know, a young man out here. How you mean?
Zeze.
That's how they talk. They be like, period. No, boo. How you mean? Fuck you mean? Girl. That's how they all talk.
That is genuinely one of the worst American accents
They all talk like that. They're like, yo, bitch, what up, bitch? How you saying? What you doing? I'm like here for like, I'm just here for all the money and all that. Like, they all just country accent, southern accent. I love it. Great, lovely. But they all have their opinion. They have their opinions and they don't care. Whereas over here, we're not like that. We're taught to be reserved. You keep your opinion to yourself and you move on. Whereas I wasn't doing that. So I think that's why it was such a big like, shock. Who's this person? And also, again, like I was saying earlier, I only am hard on people if I have like a gripe about it. So again, the most of the interviews that we'll do is probably the drill interviews where everyone knows how I feel about drill. But I've sat down with people beforehand and it's been a really nice interview. Like Big Nasty was a lovely interview, like where he was literally schooling me through the whole thing. Ashley Waters was a nice interview because I don't have a gripe with these people. There's nothing for me to kind of, but if you're like, or I don't have anything to, I don't have an issue, quote unquote, with you. Like someone like Russ, he comes on the show, you know I don't like drill, so we're gonna, you know, I think your songs sometimes sound the same, so I'm gonna tell you these stuff, that all of these, and that's why people think, but I don't ever go out of my way to be controversial because I'll tell you what, it's draining, and that means I'd have to do that all the time.
When you hear, two things I've been interested to talk to you about today, right? So when you hear the phrase pick me, which is something that people love to slander you with a lot, right? I mean, literally all the time. How does that make you feel? How attached are you to that phrase now? What does that mean to you?
I honestly don't care. I honestly don't care.
Okay. That's now though, right?
I don't think I've ever cared about that phrase, pick me. I don't think I care. Because your favourites love me, you know? Your favourites are picking me, you know? So it's like, so it's to me, I don't give a shit. Because what are you... why am I a pick me? Because I say things, but this is the thing, right? The other day, I did 2 tweets about Valentine's Day. One about women and one about men. Which one did the rounds? The one where I was saying to the women, such and such and such and such. But I had literally just told the men another thing as well. Do you understand what I'm saying? But it's only when I talk about, as if when I'm talking about women, there's a problem, as if I'm always talking against women, and that's not the case. It's just the ones that do the rounds again is because it's basically what Kevin Samuel said. Kevin Samuel said he spent before he was addressing men before he started addressing women, he was addressing men and no one cared. He wasn't going viral. No one gave a shit. Yeah. The moment he started talking about women got really upset about it and basically made him Kevin Samuels. Do you get what I mean? Because we're emotional, we're reactive, and that's okay. Yeah. But I just don't like it when they try to paint this picture of I never come for men when I do. Or this other thing that I hear now is, because now I've got to a certain level, now I don't care about women. Like, so when I first started, I was talking about colorism and I was talking about women and So it's like, oh, now because now you love all the rappers. And it was like, I've never not liked the rappers. It was never that. It was just that I was calling them out on their BS. And that's my whole point. Like I'm saying earlier, it's okay for you to disagree with people and still like them. Yeah. That's life. Do you get what I mean?
How do you find, because I think when there was an interview or there was like some sort of content that I saw and it felt like a lot of people were getting onto you. And this was like from like 2 years ago or maybe like a year ago. It felt like the people in that room anyway were like kind of just trying to get onto you or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it made me just think, like watching that, I was just thinking that you've obviously carved out a lane for yourself that's very like specific for you. Do you know what I mean? Like you said, it wasn't something that was like kind of done in the UK space, right? Do you find it hard making genuine connections in this industry?
Yeah. But then the ones that I do make, they are genuine. Yeah. Like there's people that I would class, like people that I would class as my friends. Like I class David as my friend. Like I will call David and I will get advice from David, non-work related, whatever, and we will have a good chin wag and we'll have a laugh. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. And there's people that also that I know really support me and that like I have built genuine connections with. Do you know what I mean? Like people like Cyan Anderson, they've always kind of like flown the flag for me. She's always kind of been like, let me try and get you on, come and do hot tea on my show. You know, like she would always, you know what I mean? And there's like new people that I've built relationships and I'm building friendships with, and that's really nice as well. But I'm very kind of, I don't know. And also I don't think that a lot of the women within the industry, it doesn't necessarily, I don't know, there's something that doesn't gel.
You know what, I was going to ask you about that because I felt that too, that it's almost as though women, and maybe speaking specifically about you, I don't think that women are appreciative of like you or are warming to you as quickly as they would other people.
Right, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. 100%.
How do you navigate like female dynamics?
What can you do? Like, what can you do? Like, I'm myself. Yeah. If you don't, like, I'm not gonna... Yeah. I don't have any, like, bad blood towards anybody. However, if I feel like you don't fuck with me, I won't fuck with you. And that's okay. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think that's another thing as well. There's been people that we will be in the same room and we will not acknowledge each other. Like, we won't acknowledge each other. And that's okay. I think that's perfectly fine. Do I still respect everything that they've done? Yeah. Do I look at them and think, what you've done is amazing, great. Do we gel as people? No. And that's fine. Am I gonna, when I see you, am I gonna cut my at you? We're gonna screw each other? No, we're adults, you know? We're gonna coexist in the same space. It's not some fucking like beef, we're gonna beat each other. It's just, we don't gel with each other. And we don't need to be fake and be like, hi babe, when we know it's not a hi babe, it's like, all right. Do you get what I mean?
I think it's fair to say that you probably got to that kind of thought process and like acceptance now. But if we're thinking like the earlier stages, maybe like a year ago, 2 years ago, I feel like if I'm, even just me, myself, thinking as myself, put myself in like your position or any other female position, I can imagine like it can feel a little bit sad. Like it's a bit of a shit feeling, you know, when you're just putting your best foot forward as just you and your authentic self and not diluting yourself for any other reason. And then people around you who are occupying maybe similar spaces or whatever, just for some reason just aren't feeling you. What was that period more so?
I don't think I've ever felt like, oh, they don't like me. That's sad. The only thing I felt is a bit annoying is that which I don't think we somehow as human beings we can do, is we can't separate the message and the person. So when I was talking about colorism a lot, I don't feel like, there was a few people, but I don't feel like there was a lot of like public support from other fellow darker skinned women who were affected by it. Until BLM, then all everyone started talking about, oh, dark skinned women don't get no opportunities. And I was thinking, bruh, I've been saying this for the last 2 to 3 years. And in fact, when I was saying this, a lot of you were saying, I'm making us look weak. Like a lot of women will be like, oh, Z, why are you talking about this for? You're making us look weak. We don't need that. We don't need that. But now you're there all doing up essays of, oh yeah, we need opportunities. And that's fine. Everyone has their different time. But I feel like if I saw somebody giving a message where I know it kind of affected me, regardless of what I think about them, for the bigger picture, I would co-sign that thing that they're saying. Do you get what I mean? And that's the only thing that I felt like, I feel like there could have been a little bit more support around those type of things as other black women, because we were all going through it. But it was like, when I was saying it, it wasn't cool to say it. It wasn't okay to say you now when you say it, you're seen as like, yeah, sis, stand up for yourself. But now, when I was doing it, it was like, you're complaining, shut up. So that's the only thing where I think like, but I had my little rant about that and I got over it, because everyone is a different time. But I don't, like, when I see people out, it's not like a hate thing. It's just life.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think when we're thinking about the, Zeze Millz career, there's like been so much that's happened, like you said. I think the last 2 years last 2 years, I would say have kind of been your most prominent years. If you could like just give yourself a moment just to even think back to the last 2 years, or what's been your biggest highlight? What is the moment that brings you the biggest joy?
Oh my God, there's been so many. I feel like...
What's the one that pops into your mind immediately?
Oh my God, I can't even... Do you know what? I can't pinpoint one thing. I honestly can't pinpoint one thing. But when I think about everything, I think about that I feel extremely grateful. I feel really grateful, and I feel really like proud of myself that I kind of get to do something that I really enjoy. And although whatever it comes with, I'm proud of myself and that I stuck to it, if that makes sense. And although like it's hard, and I've had a lot of backlash, and I've had like people like come at me and all these type of things, I still kept on going. And also when people was like, so many times, like even like friends and family, which is okay, because another thing, it's okay when your friends and your family kind of are a bit like, ooh, what are you doing? Is that gonna work? Like they'd be like, Z, you won't be able to do TV with how you are. Like people will say that to me, like, you need to tone it down a little bit. You're gonna have to tone it down. You're not gonna be able to just be like this, And I feel like I've stayed true to myself. And I've done all the things that people said, oh, that's not going to happen. You're not going to be able to work with brands because brands are not going to want to work with someone that's so opinionated. It's too risky for them. Or TV's not going to do this because you're going to be too risky for them. I've managed to do all of these things that people have said I wouldn't be able to do because of how my personality was. And I remember saying to one of my friends is, okay, like it might take me longer to get to where I want to get to, but I'm not going to dim down my opinions. I'm not going to dim down myself. And if I do, it's my own choice. Like if I decide now, actually, I'm going to take a seat back and not be as opinionated. It's not because I'm trying to get a deal. It's because I'm a bitch is tired of arguing with you motherfuckers now. So let me just take a sit back and like just enjoy whatever. Like, do you get what I mean? It's not because I'm trying to make someone like me. And I'm happy that I've stayed true to myself and I've managed to, I'm doing all right at the moment. Do you get what I'm saying? And I'm happy with that.
I love that. Thinking back, right, to, Zeze a decade ago, Zeze 22, what is, if you could like send her a message right now, if you could say anything to her, what would that message be?
10 years ago.
Yeah, 22. Or even 25.
It'll be okay.
Okay.
It'll be okay. That's it. Like, because I've got so much more that I want to do now, and I'm happy, but there's so much more I want to do, but it's always going to be okay. Like, it will always be okay. Like, you'll find there will be something that will either make you happy or something that, like, when I was 25, I would never think that I would be sitting here talking to somebody, because I wouldn't have known it was you at the time. Yeah. Like, I would never think that I would be here talking to yourself about what I've done. Or, do you know what I mean? Or that even my story is worthwhile sitting down with you. And you thinking like, oh, I think Zeze's worthwhile sitting down with to have a conversation. Because when you message me, it's like, oh, that's really nice, because I know what goes through the thought process of when you want to do an interview. Is this person going to give me a good story? Am I going to be able to talk to them? Are they going to be fucking dry? What information can I okay, they've done this thing, but actually, is that going to keep us going for an hour to talk about? So when you message me, it's like, wow, that's so nice that somebody thinks that what I've done so far is enough to have an hour conversation about and have a deep dive into it. And it's just okay. And I think everyone should know it. It'll be okay. Like, there's young girls out there. It'll be okay. Trust me. Like, honestly, it will be okay. There's so many times I've cried. I thought it was going to happen. I've been sad. I've been like, yo, drama school didn't work out. I say to my friend the other day, I was like, because I feel like everything's happened really quickly. And he looked me dead in the eye and he went, not really. It's been happening for about 10 years, hasn't it? Chill out. And I was like,
humbling.
Yeah, it has. But when I thought about it, everything leading up to this point, me going to America for 6 months, that didn't work out. I went to America for 6 months. I didn't sometimes even know how the fuck I was going to eat while I was over there. I was like, what the hell? Like, you run out of money, you're not allowed to work over there legally. You don't have the visa there. So you go there with those funds and you're thinking, literally me and my friend Louise, we went out to dinner the other day and we was like, babe, we were living in an apartment in LA. We didn't know what the fuck we was doing. I was like, babe. And she's like, now we're both like, she's got a child and she's doing EastEnders and she's whatever and I'm doing this. She's like, I'm so proud of us. I was like, me too, because we were literally there like, I was like crying, like, what the hell? There's so many times and I've been like, what is going on? Like, I don't know. And I'm still trying to figure out myself. Like, I don't know what people say to me, oh, so what's next? And I'm like, I couldn't tell you.
That was me at Mobile. I was like, so Zeze, what's next? You were like, well,
I don't know. And like,
is acting coming? Because I don't know. Genuinely, and you probably heard me multiple times talking about this. I think being someone, I don't know if this is because of the environment that we were in,
right.
I was really able to just take in your ability. And honestly, I feel like I'll be doing you a disservice by just not telling you just how good you are. Because like you were talking about, oh, I'm in the middle with it, probably still on like I'm not really sure about it side of things. You're too good for you to be on that side. So I hope that when we're thinking about what's coming on this year. This year I've already done like one self-tape. Okay. So that's quite good. Progress. And it was like a proper self-tape. I had to like learn the lines and all this stuff and it was cute. But then I've not heard anything from it. So then you have that thing. Here we go again. It's like, no, but the thing is, when I did Boxing Day, I originally auditioned for the sister. Yeah. Oh.
And I didn't get it. So Emmanuel wanted me to audition for the sister. I auditioned for the sister and I didn't get it. And I remember saying to him, he messaged me and he said, I've got another role for you, Zeze. And I said, listen to me, whatever this role is, I ain't auditioning for it because I put myself through that again. I told you the last time I didn't want to do the audition anyway because it's like, a boyfriend that you are convinced has changed and they come back and they're like, yo, Wunmi, I swear to you, man, I've changed. All the things you want me to do, I'm gonna do for you, okay? Yeah. You want me to take the bins out on Fridays? I'm gonna take the bins out on Fridays for you, yeah? I promise. And you're like, yeah, okay, guys.
That is a bad analogy.
We're there. And then Friday comes and he still didn't take the fucking bins out and he's still the same. And that is acting for me. That is literally how I feel about acting because
it's a bin that you love.
It's a man that you think has changed, but really they're not changed. That's my whole point. They're not. You know those men that come back into your life, they convince you they've changed. Yeah. 2 weeks goes and you're like, you ain't changed. You're actually the same person.
So is that still how you see it? And
it's like you're gonna build my hopes up, but really ain't nothing really going on. That's how I feel until something maybe happens. But that's again probably my defense mechanism, not getting too excited.
I think it's a defense.
I have bare defense mechanisms.
I think it's that, and I think also, you know what would be good? I think you maybe like if you were to watch back yours and your mum's conversation. Honestly,
I don't really watch any of my interviews.
You need that particular one.
Do you watch all your interviews back?
I do. You know what? I never did before. Then one day I had my hairstylist doing my hair, and she was like, "Oh, let's put your and she put on the TV right here."
Yeah.
And we're sat down. I'm like, "Oh my days, I've never done this before. This feels different."
Right.
And you need to do this because genuinely, it changes everything.
Why? Do you get notes? Do you
not just notes, but like you rate yourself a little bit more. You're like, damn, like is that me? Okay, which is a good thing because like you need to like amplify yourself in that way.
Fair.
Like it's nice that people are saying it to you and people are, glorifying like your glory and stuff.
That's a good
point. But you
to
do it yourself is a different ballgame.
Yeah,
I feel
that's
like
true.
After speaking to you on the Mobos, I was like, yeah, nah, she's way too much in the same headspace as me that this ain't even healthy because I know it's not healthy for me.
But I let other people like live it for me.
Yeah, but you need to live it for yourself.
I know.
Yeah.
Like my manager would always say to me like, so I did something last year and I was like, I was like, right. Now what did I say? I messaged her the other day because I was talking to someone and then I said, I was on Getz's album. So I messaged her, I was like, I was on Getz's album, you know.
I was
how
on
fucking
Getz's
hard
album.
it was? Like, do you know Getz?
Who else?
I was on a tune with Ed Sheeran and Getz. Are you dumb? That's what I was like. I said that to myself. But I never ever digesting. And she's like, yeah, Z, you don't ever digest anything. You don't ever, you just do it and you go, boom, okay, next thing. Like, okay, cool. Until you sit down and you think, rah, like I did a lot last year, like a lot of things happened.
Yeah.
But I think that's good because that way we stay grounded.
Yeah, it's like grounded, but then also happiness is important, and sometimes being grounded doesn't allow you to really.
But do you know
take
what
in
makes
the
me
happiness.
happy?
What makes Zeze happy?
What makes me happy is being able to live a nice life.
Yeah. You know what's so funny? I now look at your Instagram pictures, and when you kick up your shoes, you'll be wearing like some designer shoes and you'll be like, Bottega! I'm like, this bitch is happy. She's really happy.
That's what, like, being like somewhat able to be a little bit comfortable and have like a little bit of, I'm not going on like I'm like some mega rich person, but having a little bit of like freedom, that is really nice for me, and that's what I like. That's what makes me happy. That's what makes me realize, oh, you've worked really hard because you can do things now where like comfortably, like you could do things comfortably. Like my accountant said to me the other day, I don't know how you survived on your salary. That's what he said to me the other day. He's like, I don't know how you survived on your salary that you was making. And I looked and I thought, wow, how did I? But I did. And also at that time when I was on that salary, no one ever knew that I was on like a little bit of money because I lived my life to the fullest. I still went out to nice places. I still do things like within my means and whatever. But now I look back on that and I think to myself, yeah, like I've come really far and I've done like really well. And that's what makes me be like,
good one, Zeze.
Well done. Like being able to take my mum, like do nice things for my mum for her birthday, like buy her like a nice watch and do all these type of things. That's like, that is what makes me be like, well done, girl. Do you know what I mean? Like good on you type of thing. And so
I'm going to hold you to that. Next time I'm going to message you, be like, are you good? Like, are you happy? Are you making you like patting yourself on the back?
I know. And also I just treat myself with having really good sex as well. Really.
And there you go. You had to. Because what room did I give you to come with that? What room?
Because those are the things that make me happy. The other day, I was so happy. I told you one day and I felt really proud of myself.
What day?
My guy that is really good to me, he said to me, oh, I feel like having a little bit of a morning session. I said, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind that as well. So I said, what time? He said, 11 o'clock. I said, I can't do 11 o'clock. I've got Zoom at 11. He said, what about 12? I said, okay, I said, to 12? He said, all right, we can do 12. He was a bit late, so he got there a bit later to my house. Anyway, I was doing this Zoom in my room. He was in the living room. I finished my Zoom, came out of the Zoom. We ate. And I had like afternoon sex and I literally laid in my bed and I thought, I fucking made it, right? How can I wake up, do 2 Zooms, right? Have good sex, go eat, then get out of bed. And my delivery had come straight on the time, bang on time, got out of bed, ate my Wendy's, sat on the sofa with him, had a little conversation. He left. I carried on with my day and I thought, I fucking made it.
What a life.
You can have midday sex and you've done all the stuff that you need to do. Oh, mate, you can't get better than that. You cannot get better than that. I don't care what anyone tells me.
You kill me, but thank you so much for talking to me. This has been...
Thank you so much for having me.
This has been such a good conversation. How have you found it?
I loved it.
Yeah?
I think you're doing very well with me.
Stop.
And you should be very proud of yourself. You should be very proud of yourself. And
Thank you.
Because starting a show is hard.
Don't
it's
even
very,
listen.
very hard.